and welcome to the Tennessee Tribune today. Athletic Director from Fisk University, Mr. Anthony Owens. How you doing, Anthony?
Appreciate it. Thank you, Ron.
Okay, all right. And let's just start by telling me what's the biggest challenge that you face as athletic director?
The biggest challenge I face at Fisk University is definitely money.
Okay.
That's the biggest challenge, but you can work around not having all the money you need by getting good people. So that's been the second biggest problem. But we're getting better at that one. So as we take a look and evaluate staff members each year since I've been there, you have to let some go and you bring some in, and then you try to add to the department, which we're doing now. Case in point, just hired an assistant tennis coach, compliance and facility director, and strength and conditioning coach all this past week. So as we get going, the program is going to get where it needs to go.
Okay. Your basketball team won its first conference game, I guess, since it's been in the conference.
Yeah, we joined this conference in 2010, and our women's program had been 0-24 in conference, and they finally won one this past Saturday. It was an overtime victory, which was great. We have a new first-year coach there. He's doing a tremendous job. Our men, they won each year they've been in the conference. They haven't won at a big rate, but they've won games each year. But this was the first time our women had won a game, and it was great to see. It's great to see.
Tell us a little more about the conference that you're in.
We're in the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. It's an NAIA conference, National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics. You probably know back in the day, most all the black schools were NAIA. NCAA has kind of came along, and NCAA makes things look bigger, look brighter. They get the television pub, they get the radio, all the good stuff that goes with being an NCAA. But NAIA is a nice niche for schools that may not have the budgets to have the 12 or 15 sports. So in NAIA, if they approve of you, you can have only one sport, and they can make you an NAIA member, which is good for schools who are just starting out, or schools whose budgets are not conducive to having a lot of programs. Our conference currently consists of 8 historically black universities: Xavier, Dillard, and Southern New Orleans. Those 3 in New Orleans. They're basically neighboring schools. Then you have Philander Smith in Little Rock, Arkansas, Talladega in Talladega, Alabama, Tougaloo, which is Tougaloo, Mississippi, but it's actually Jackson, Mississippi. And then you have Edward Waters in Jacksonville, Florida. So along with ourselves, that's 8 schools that's been in this league since 2010, and we're just trying to grow. The GCAC has been around for a long time, but it had those New Orleans schools along with Tougaloo plus 6 or 7 predominantly white institutions in the Louisiana area. But those schools left in 2009, so they left those 4 historically black schools by themselves. And then that's when Philander, Fisk, El Waters, and Talladega joined in to keep the conference going. And we decided to keep the name as well.
Okay. Now, do you have a playoff system in this conference?
Yes, we have each sport that we have, that at least 6 of the members have that particular sport. We have a conference tournament in that particular sport, and whoever wins that tournament goes on to the NAIA championships. If one of our particular sports does not have at least 6 members, then they'll get with another NAIA conference that has less than 6 members, and those 2 conferences get together and have what we call an unaffiliated tournament, and the winner of that will go to the NAIA championship. So currently for us, tennis fits that criteria, and also softball, because we don't have 6 members playing those sports in our conference. So those 2 sports will get together with another conference, and they'll play an unaffiliated tournament, which will get them an automatic berth to the NAIA championships.
Now, and you alluded to this earlier, since integration, the big schools get the cream of the crop of the black athletes, the ones who were looking at the NBA, NFL, that kind of thing. What kind of athletes, or what kind of person normally comes to Fisk for sports?
Before I arrived here, it was definitely the person that was definitely academic oriented. Meaning, you know, they came for academics. Athletics was an aside. You know, maybe they played in high school and they said, "Well, I'll come join the team." We've had instances in the past where a student would come and say, like, for homecoming, it's a big event at Fisk. So they would come out, and it's normally in the fall around Thanksgiving. So they would come out for the basketball team, make the basketball team, play in homecoming, and then wouldn't play the rest of the year. You know, okay. And then you would have the professors would not buy in with the coaches, so you know you would have instances where an athlete would have to pick going to class as opposed to going to an away game, which, you know, in athletics, especially in big time athletics, that's unheard of. Right. So now at Fisk, we are following the model that an athletic school should. Not saying that we're an athletic school, but we are athletic minded with our student athletes. They're still here to get their education, but also if they came here to participate in the sport, they got to be able to participate in that sport to their fullest extent, which we're getting to that point now. The professors are buying in, the university is buying in, and as you mentioned before we came on, talking about money being the biggest issue, little things like professor buy-in and university buy-in can alleviate the money problem that you're having. Because if the professors buy in, university buys in, then you can have a program that's competent, that you can get to the level of being competitive. Then when you're competitive, the wins will start coming. And we've started to get competitive in all our sports this year.
Now, you have a background as an athlete. You played at TSU, All-American wide receiver. You even had NFL flirtation. Yeah. Do you think that today's black high school student understands the whole HBCU tradition and just how far back HBCUs go?
No. This is instant gratification society now. You do not have enough people telling the HBCU story where those individuals are going to school. If their parents did not go to attend an HBCU and are telling them the history, then it's getting lost. You don't hear that history in school. You don't hear the HBCU history on the television station, even though you have 1 million television stations now, as opposed to when you and I were coming up, especially when you was coming up. And you don't have that, so they don't know. You know, like a lot of time when I was at Tennessee State, even when I was playing, but more so when I was coaching in the late 90s, early 2000s, you know, we were always trying to rely on that tradition. But you would go into those kids' homes, and you know, they didn't know who Ed Too Tall Jones was, or Joe Gillum Jr., or Joe 747 Adams, or Eldridge Dickens. They didn't know those people. So you know, we're telling those names. You know, we're telling John Merritt. They don't know that. They don't know that. They're like, who are these people? So it's definitely getting lost in translation. And like I said, if you don't have anyone telling that story, these kids have no idea who that is.
Moving forward, what do you see? What are some of the things you hope to see for Fisk in the future as far as athletics goes?
First and foremost is to get the community that we're in this neighborhood to know that Fisk has athletics. We have to do a better job of getting the word out there, and we're starting to get to that point. I think for a long time, Fisk was just content with, we have athletics, but not letting the Nashville area at large know. And even with all the sports that we have here in the Nashville area, all the schools, the professional teams, people will relay your story if you get it to them. But you have to let them know you have a product so they can come and participate and see and go back and say about it. This year we letting Lead Academy, the charter public school, use our gym for their athletic contest, and they're bringing in these outside county schools. Like last night they had Joe Burns, but they done brought in schools from Clarksville, I think some from East Tennessee, one from West Tennessee, and when those fans come in that are not familiar with Nashville, then they see Fisk, you know, that's putting, you know, they come in, they see the nice facility, and you know how we are having it run, and they seeing the setup, and when they go back, they're like, well, they go back and they spread the word. So it helps us not only with our athletic program, it helps us with our brand, and it also helps the school, you know, maybe identify a student that maybe never even had an interest in FIST, but they able to come up here and their parents are able to see the school and be like, wow. So the number one thing is we have to brand the product so that the Nashville community at large will know. Because we're NAIA, and you know, we gotta be realistic. You know, we're only gonna get so much of the pie. So let's concentrate on our area, and if we can get 600 people for our basketball games, that'd be great. You know, we're not asking, well, I get 8,000 people. We get 600 people. If we get 300 people to come on a consistent basis, you know, with our gym holding, you know, 1,200 to 1,500 people, and with, you know, 300, 400 students getting in free, if we can get 300 people to come on a consistent basis to see our product, we'll be fine.
Well, we want to wish you the best moving forward, success with FISC, and we're going to be covering you and paying attention to what you're doing from now on. So thank you very much for coming.
And we're going to make sure